Brian Badie.
I need to.
Thank you for coming to the Gloss. Hi, everybody. It's Anita Gibson.
Hi, Daniel Green.
And our guest, Brian Badie.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here. And my new venture.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
Yeah, we love it.
So I just wanted to first introduce you. This is Brian Badie, hair designer, department head, man of the world, fashionista. I could go on and on, but I've come to know you from this business. And I guess let everybody know where you're from and all of that, like where you grew up, that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to just talk about New Orleans for 1 second.
Okay, well, I'm from New Orleans, born and raised. And I moved to New York in 2001 as, well, I don't know if y'all know the date.
We don't have to know.
I mean the year, but
Yeah.
2001. I've been here
Yeah,
since 2001 and basically came here to try to become global.
Indeed.
'Cause I was tired of being referred to as local crew.
Okay.
Basically.
Yes. Yeah. And local crew, like on film sets or just in your being a hairstylist?
Well, yeah, because primarily I came to elevate, as far as professionally and personally, but it's more professional for my career. And the local crew term was very interesting to me. And just strategically, I thought in order to be taken seriously and to become a real player in this game, it's as basic as I needed another zip code and one that was respected more than I felt.
Yeah.
So New York being
that.
the top tier, I felt like, okay, this was a necessary move, after the personal aspect of it, just wanting to live in New York because it's amazing.
Right.
But professionally, I felt like it's definitely a move one needs to take in order to become a global player.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that. No question.
Yeah.
So I've worked in New Orleans before as a, not a
I
local.
recall a distant hire, that's fair.
A distant hire.
You're a distant hire, that's a glow up for real.
Yes. So, and I've worked in New Orleans without Brian Badie, and then I worked in New Orleans with Brian Badie on Girls Trip.
I do recall.
And my New Orleans experience was totally different working with Brian Badie in New Orleans. We had such a time. And I learned so much about New Orleans hanging out with you. Like, it is an alive city, like all night long.
But you did good. You did good on your own.
Oh no, I was strolling.
You were showing up
Yes.
with receipts. She was coming back with receipts. I was like, okay, you didn't need me.
No. But you led the way. Like New Orleans doesn't sleep at night. And so that's all I need to hear. But anyway, but I learned how magical that city is. And culturally, I learned so much more when I was on the trip with Girls Trip, when I did that show. I learned so much about our history as Black people in New Orleans and how many professionals there were way back in the day, 1700s, 1600s. And so just talk to me about New Orleans as a Black man, young Black man coming up in all of who you are. Like, how was that growing up in New Orleans?
For me, because of my era, I found it easy. I think my brother being 7 years older for his generation was much more difficult. I would hear stories about what was happening at his school, like racially, like stuff like that. And my father's stories, my mother has an amazing story, what she endured as a Black woman. She was the first manager for IRS, and she was the only Black woman, only Black person, and the only female manager. And her entire department was all white people.
Oh,
and
wow.
she basically had to keep it all together during this time, So that made me
paving a
stronger.
way.
Yeah, and that all made me stronger. So for me growing up, it was just New Orleans is a festive
Yeah.
culture to be raised in. So to be young in that type of culture and just to be free, whatever reason, either sexually, like we're not inhibited sexually, like
Yes.
across the board. So it's just a free type of energy to be raised in. So I think that's part of the reason why it rears really confident people coming
Yeah.
from New Orleans.
Yeah, definitely. Talk to me about creatively, like being in such a magical, I mean, because you have Mardi Gras and then Essence started coming to town and the people started gathering
Well, and
in
Jazz
New
Fest.
Orleans and
Jazz Fest
Jazz
is my favorite.
Festival. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw all kinds of people from everywhere.
It was normal for me. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even know how life, like when I started traveling outside of New Orleans, I'd be gagging like, what? Like, what y'all doing? Like, and police, well, I would get stopped by the police constantly because I would be doing something inappropriate. And
Right.
to me, it was normal
Yeah.
until like in Atlanta, it was like, oh my God, what are you doing? I was like,
Right.
what? I'm from New
Right.
Orleans. To the point where the police would be like, oh, you from New Orleans? Oh, okay, well then go ahead.
Okay.
Like they would cut me some slack because
Yeah.
they're like, you don't know no better.
Right. Oh,
So what would you be
interesting. Interesting.
Well, drinking in public, like, you know how many times I've been walking down the street with like a cocktail or something, and they'd be like, you can't do that. Like, just stuff that's free in New Orleans
Right.
that is much more
Yeah.
conservative in other cities.
And that is what I discovered, how free New Orleans was. But I didn't really discover it until I went with you, because it was almost like a local person was kind of allowing us to see the boundaries where they were.
But also that film we shot in really central areas.
Right.
Which is not always the case with the film industry, because I started in New Orleans and we would always shoot outside the city center.
Yeah.
So, Girls Trip, you were allowed to see much more of authentic New Orleans because the whole script was based over this Essence experience in New Orleans. So, that allowed you as a crew member visiting to see more than if you were doing like something with a slave narrative and been, been by a plantation.
True.
Which, who wants to see? I'm not even into plantations like that.
No.
Like, I'll just be like, okay, dead people everywhere.
Right.
You know,
Let's
so
keep it
for me,
moving.
it's like slaves. It's like, that's not beautiful to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad y'all got a chance to experience it that way.
Yeah, no, and I was glad for that too, because the other project that I was on when I was there was not necessarily about slaves, but it was period way back in early 1900s.
Right.
And you know, it had moments of fabulous pretty, but it wasn't that experience. So Girls Trip definitely provided a different type of backdrop in this experiencing the city.
For me too.
Yeah. So, how was Girls Trip for you? Because first of all, it's like a legendary film that is a classic forever now.
I had a ball, child.
You did?
I had a ball simply because of the locations too. Because for me, starting in the film industry in New Orleans, I would be so desperate to like want to work in the city.
Yeah.
We would always be in cane fields and stuff, and that's just not fun and glamorous.
Oh, right.
But Girls Trip was all the coolest locations. It didn't rain, and if it did rain, we were like inside for a minute, and when we went outside, the rain had stopped. So it was like nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong.
It was pure comedy every single day.
Great cast, great crew, great everything.
It was a good film.
It was so much fun.
We had such a great time.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, the humidity is not a factor for me. I know how to deal with humidity because I started doing hair in probably the most humid city in the fucking country.
I've been there with just humidity, glasses fog up. It's like walking around. It's crazy.
Well, you change certain things, like you don't put as much oil in hair because it'll attract the humidity, so it'll cause the hair to revert faster.
Okay, that's good.
So you have to kind of alter your formula when you shoot in humid climates like that, as opposed to like dry climates where even for makeup, if the climate is dry, you might have to moisturize with a heavier moisturizer as opposed to in a humid climate. Okay. Like in New Orleans, I never used lotion growing up.
Right, because
You
you don't
don't
need
need
it. You don't need
You'll be a
it.
mess.
Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah,
an
you be
oily mess.
dripping.
I literally never used lotion
Yeah.
Real.
until I moved to New York. And in fact, I went through the whole like skin cracking thing because I was like, why is my skin cracking? And it was like, well, bitch, you got to moisturize. I was like, why? Because I never been to a dry climate before.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I met you when we were doing Miracle in St. Anne.
Yep. And you had your
And
black hair around.
yeah, it was dark. Yes, I had dark
You had a
hair.
roll around
Yes.
with a little side bang.
Yes.
Mhm.
The early days,
know.
my Spike Lee days.
Yes.
But I remember sitting in a trailer with you talking, and you had made me aware that you had cancer. And I was like, wow, like, and your spirit was not joyous, but it felt like, I'm gonna be good though. Like it felt that way to me. So just talk to me about like that's a big, here you are moving to New York and going to do these things with your career, and then all of a sudden something like that gets put on your plate. Talk
Well,
to
the
me
way
about
I
that.
mean, I'm kind of like probably not the norm, but
Yeah.
for me, it was just like, okay, I have cancer, I'm gonna die. And then like 5 minutes later, I was like, fuck that, I ain't dying. So
Yeah.
what I gotta do? And then I just put my life in the hands of the doctor.
Yes.
I didn't really fight anything. I just listened to them. I focused and I went through all the chemo and all the radiation. And
Right. And you
next
came
thing
out.
you know, I was like, I don't even remember it really.
It's fantastic.
Because I was so zoned.
Yeah.
Like that part of my life, I try to remember stuff. I remember
Right.
like I was working at the time. I remember Teamsters bringing me to therapy. And I remember like slowly walking up train steps because I couldn't walk fast and stuff like that. And just little pockets. But to me, I didn't really I didn't internalize it at all. The doctor told me to stay working.
Yeah.
I wanted my coins, I'm about
Yes.
I was like, you can't be sick and broke. It's like, it's not going to work out. So at least I have my coins where I can eat whatever the hell I want, and just whatever.
Yes.
And then after that, it was over.
Yeah, no, it was like all of a sudden, it was over.
Yeah, and I don't internalize stuff
Yeah.
super emotionally.
Right.
Like, I am emotional as fuck, but when it's time to get serious, like, my emotions are just completely shut down, and I just go straight logistics and what I gotta do
Right.
to make anything work or succeed at anything.
Yeah.
Like, emotions aren't allowed.
No.
At some
At some point.
At some point, get rid of
Exactly.
them.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
put them in a box.
Yeah.
So then you were like Law and Order land
No, I know I
forever.
know. Which helped me a lot.
Yes.
It was the master class in professionalism.
Yes. And we all need that. And we all need
So
those
to give you
classes.
etiquette, or
As-
you brought etiquette too?
To give me etiquette. I was wild. I'm a wild, like in New Orleans, the wild magnolia type
Right.
of what we call it. But yeah, I lacked in professionalism for many years. I feel like I still do. Like I'm not the poster child for professionalism.
Right.
I've learned anything I am professional with. I learned a lot from through business.
Right.
But I'm still like one song away from just keep popping all over the
Right.
It's like I'm still loose in comparison to what other people might consider professional.
Yeah. Which
Because I would
that's
negate
refreshing
I would
for me.
negate it. Like
Yeah.
define professionalism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
that's
our
refreshing.
industry.
Which
No, defined it in
Which-
our industry, not corporate America, even though it's all corporate.
right, because our industry is a bunch of artists
Yes.
and like
Artists,
a lot of
100%.
times ruffians, the
Yeah.
children been around
From
the block.
everywhere. Yes,
Everywhere.
some
been
been
around the block.
incarcerated.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I know that
Yes.
story.
From the top all the way down. It's
Yeah.
like so
From the
all
top
of a
all the
sudden
way
you want
down.
me to behave a certain way. It's
Yeah.
like let me hear your background
Oh.
and then we'll decide.
Yeah, exactly.
So I try to have the balance of keeping it real and being myself, but then being professional enough to maintain relationships and keep jobs flowing. And apparently I'm doing it well because I have not changed who I am, but I grew at the same time. And,
Yeah.
And The
Yeah.
clone, everything proves it.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
that's refreshing to me because sometimes you're with too many people that are too uptight. You know,
Right.
you need one person there that knows how to like,
Right.
all right,
Right.
while still in the boundaries of
Right.
professionalism.
And
So,
I can't tell you how many actors have pulled me to the side and been like, "You're refreshing because of that." And they liked
exactly.
working with me because I was just chill, and they didn't feel like I was faking stuff. And they found that refreshing.
Yeah, I definitely did. And so we then reunited on Power.
Power.
And so we all know that is, an iconic show
It was a
for the
moment.
ages.
It was a moment.
And so just talk to me a little bit about, we all had our process once we came to Power, and we knew how important that show was, but we didn't know that it was going to do what it was going to do. Like we all kind of were like, all right, it's me, you and Frank, Daniel. We all came together and just was like, let's do our best work because here's this kind of great show driven by a lead Black actor.
Right.
But like, talk to me about your process of creating these characters once you understood, especially the 1 through 4. That would be Omari, Joe. So, Ghost, Tommy,
Yeah.
Tasha, and Angela. Yeah.
Well, I feel like, when I had gotten the notes, like, not comparing, but it was supposed to be like a Black Sex in the City as far as look, as far as style,
Elevation.
like being
Right.
elevated. Not
Yeah.
saying it's the exact look, but just
Right.
being on the level where people were super stylized and like looked luxurious.
Right.
I found that I found that platform great for me because I always, as a Black hairstylist, I always did multicultural hair, and I always changed the rules on what is Black hair. So Power to me was the perfect platform for that because like people feel like Black hairstyling is one way, and that to me is ridiculous.
Yes, agreed.
Like I can show you 20 different Black women with completely different hair textures, styles, socioeconomic backgrounds, whatever. So like when people would associate red hair with like being hood or whatever, like Kool-Aid red or whatever. And I said, but if a white girl wears it, it's not. Like
Right.
there's no such thing. It's a hair color. So for me, I use this platform to elevate Black people and show people what was considered stylized hair that didn't necessarily have to be a hood thing. Like with Omari's cut, the nuances with Omari's haircut, there was a few in there that you might not even realize. You just think it's a Caesar or like a temple fade or whatever you want to call it. But to me, when I designed that cut, to me that's a little the goatee is a little bit street, a little rough, but not overpowering of his face. And his haircut was one that a boss would wear or the hood would be accepted in the hood. But you can't bring too much hood into the haircut if he's going to the boardroom.
Right.
So like a high fade military or whatever could be a little more thugged out or whatever.
Right.
So to me, the person who Ghost should be the person who didn't come across super intimidating in a boardroom, but still be accepted in the street. So it was a combination of both.
Yeah.
And I feel like people don't understand with design. You have to think of these things and not just give people, the current haircut or something like that. You have to tell a story.
Yeah.
Tommy's hair was high and tight, but he's like the thugged out white dude. So it's like his haircut showed that side.
Evolutionary for the white boys in the world. Because all of a sudden, so many of them were rocking the high and tight.
And
then they established, it's been around, right? But all of a sudden, here was this really cool dude with this high and tight that you just started seeing the Tommy haircut everywhere. Like everywhere.
And he wears it well.
And he does. And then you would see, the origin like I could be on the street and I would see the origin of the Tommy haircut.
Right.
And then you see people finesse it, right? They
Right.
finesse it to who they are. But like it was like a stamp to start from. Like it was really like to me his look was very
it was so perfect for him.
It was so perfect.
And it brought out his bone structure.
Yeah.
Because Joe without the haircut, his face changes.
Right.
He can be a chameleon when it comes to like his hair.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I met him before Power on a show when he was a guest on SVU and his hair was longer and he looked like a whole nother person. So he morphs well.
He definitely does. He completely changes.
But Notorious hair in particular, I had somebody tell me that Tasha's hair, that they never saw black women on TV hair move. They never saw their hair move. And I didn't even realize that because that was important to me. Like I wanted when she turned, I wanted the hair to be like, give you all the
bouncing
movement.
and behaving.
But when you think about it, it's true. Like because that's the thing where people's like, oh, I'm like black hair, and I'm like, well, what is that? Why? Like, and when you notice it, why is hair not moving? Why isn't it a new normal to make hair bouncing and flowing? With fans blowing, whatever, if you storming down the street like Beyonce had, just always moving. So when they told me that, it never dawned on me. And then I started paying attention and it was like, true, like everybody in film or something, that it was always half in the front, half in the back, and the head did not move.
Right.
The whole show.
Yeah. And that's so not normal.
And I wasn't trying to be giving all that. I was like, I want her to be bouncing. I want her to be on Fifth Avenue making the white girls be like, who did your hair?
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing.
And I remember you gave her that fishtail braid that was so fabulous.
And that wasn't even the best wig.
Right.
So, like, if I would have got a real custom joint, like,
because
we didn't get the custom until much later. You know, when the budget got better.
Right,
but
exactly.
You made it work.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've grown since then.
Yeah, but
and Leela was our Brett girl. I mean, she was just
Yeah.
a beautiful, that black shiny hair was
Super round brush.
just
It was
gorgeous.
fab,
So, okay. Daniel?
Yeah, but I remember you don't like to use a lot of hairspray and a lot of oil. You always
No hairspray.
Yeah.
And no oil.
And no oil. I
No.
think that was the trick.
I don't know why people are so. I feel like as hairstylists we're trained to use products because they want to sell products.
Right.
Because salons make their money in retail. And it's going to sound cliche, I didn't get in this business to make money.
Right.
I got it. The money just came.
Tell stories.
And so I was never one to try and promote stuff to my clients to get them to buy a product.
Well,
I was like, girl, you don't need this.
yeah, because they push it to the customers, and the customers turn around and tell you that.
Right. Well, they push it to us. Like from beauty school, they're teaching us how to sell products.
Right.
No,
too.
I understand
That's
that,
true.
but then if you get a new client or an actor, they say, well, I need this product. To use.
Right. And therefore, everybody's buying the product and the people making billions of dollars on these products.
Right.
And so for me, through learning hair care and just trying to be the best at my actual craft and the art, I discovered that excess product was not the best look.
Right.
You know, when I started pressing hair, you know, back in the day, they used to press hair with all this grease and
Yeah, and
lanolin.
nothing.
And the kids in LA was pressing their hair with nothing.
Raw,
and the hair be bouncing
shiny.
down the street. And I was like, well, what is happening? Why don't I
Amen.
know?
Like I
sorry,
always
y'all.
say that to people.
Why don't I
Don't
know
put
this?
anything on my hair when you straighten it. Leave it because it's so shiny without all of that
So
stuff
shiny.
on
And
it.
people think, oh, heat protectant. I'm like,
No. Leave that alone.
I did Mariska's hair for 7 seasons. We never put product in her hair to blow dry it.
Yeah.
It was shampoo, condition, rinse, round brush. That was it.
And it's
I have a
fine.
favorite pomade that I use.
Yeah.
She didn't even want pomade, so I used to sneak a little trick to your children. Don't let them know you have a.
Right.
I'll put
She
the
knows
pomade-
now.
Well, you know, it's okay.
It's all good now.
I would have a little pomade on my hand, and I would just put it on my hand. I'd be going last looks, and I would touch it, but I would be putting the pomade
Right.
on the
A
band,
little something,
just
something.
to keep it like right
Right
there.
there.
Yeah.
And because without the pomade, it would just want to fall. So the pomade I use in place of hairspray. People don't realize that pomade is multifaceted like
Yeah.
that. It acts as a hold.
Yeah.
So you can use it on women's hair because men use it to like spike and do this type of thing. But I would use it. You could even do like barrel curls and set the hair with pomade on it and let it sit. And when you brush it out, the curls will just be bouncing.
Wow.
And it'll look soft and you won't need, and I've done it for weddings. I literally have people come up to me way at the end of the reception. It's like, what did you do to the bride's hair? Because I've never seen a bride's hair survive an entire night.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, pomade, that was it.
Wow. Ancient.
Don't give away the secret. Don't give
Well,
away
I'm always here to help the people. But you don't know which pomade.
Yes,
Which
It's not all pomade.
yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Before the local hire crew, before you was the local, what kicked off being a hairstylist?
Child, it was a light bulb moment. I would have never thought to be a hairstylist.
But what was you going to be?
I was dancing. My thing was dancing.
Yeah.
I was a dancer and pursuing the career of dance. And then one day I got as far as Houston, going to LA, my dream to dance with Janet Jackson. And
Yes.
be like a Vogue queen on the drum.
I do remember you being a dancer.
Dancer,
Yes,
right,
I
exactly.
do
So I
remember
was
that.
doing that, and then like I was in Houston 3 days visiting my aunt, and I was like, "Child, I don't want to be no dancer no more." And I got in a car and drove back to New Orleans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was that easy.
Wow.
Because I was like, they don't make no money. I love dancing, but I need a coin. I was like, I refused to be teaching like kids dance when I'm retired. I was like, if I'm not the top bitch all the time, like I'm not gonna love
Yes.
this career, and it ain't enough money even at the top.
At the top. Okay.
So I went back home, was depressed for about 2 years, trying to figure out my life, and then
Yeah.
had a light bulb moment. Because I was working for the city of New Orleans, and one of my friends, we was in the field, we get to go to sites.
Okay.
And we stopped at her mother's salon, and I started playing in her hair, and her mother, God rest her soul, Miss Brenda, she was watching me, and she was like, you need to go to beauty school. And I was like, child, please, I don't want to be no hairstyle. She was like, you're a natural. She was like, I watched the way you style Kelly's hair. And she was like, you're a natural. And the light bulb went off because I had no path, no career. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I went back home and told my mother I wanted to go to beauty school. And she was like, I'll pay for it as long as you get out my
Something
house.
to do.
Yeah.
Something to do.
She was just like, do something.
Well, isn't that
Because you're
destiny,
too old to
right?
be staying at home.
Yeah, the destiny of life.
I was in beauty school, and it turned out that I was pretty much a natural. Even
Yeah.
the teachers was like, what? This your first
Yeah.
time doing this? I was like,
Yeah, you are such a natural. I mean, I just watch you. You're so comfortable.
Well,
You're
it's meant to
so, yeah. And so now talk to me about like the process of preparing for a show like Power versus a show like Lovecraft Country or Whitney Houston, or like talk to me about what, once you get all the information, what is your process of preparation?
Well, for contemporary pieces, my process, I'm always looking for inspiration for all hair. I watch period TV shows like on Decades on the regular channel.
Oh, I love Decades.
I watch a lot of films
Yeah.
from the 30s. I watch game shows from the 70s.
Yeah.
I'm strategically doing this to
Fantastic.
feed my brain creatively. When I was in beauty school, they had a whole library of modern salon and all these magazines from like Japan and stuff that nobody would read, and I used to get like 3 books a day and just go through all the pictures and just soak in all these creative moments. And for like shows, like contemporary shows like Ghost, I get my best inspiration from the streets. So if I'm on subways and stuff, I'm always clocking hairstyles, and it's like, ooh, I can do that. That's inspiration. So that's kind of the very beginning of that. Period does require some actual research.
Research, yes.
So, you know, I tend to try to find real people.
Exactly.
So words is a tricky thing when you Google it. Like, you got to alter some words really fast.
That's so true.
To make the search more profitable, because if you put in just like
Black people.
1960 black people, child, ain't no hair gonna come up, so you gotta figure it out.
Magazine will come up.
Yeah,
true.
it'll be like a whole nother list of things. So I always keep my brain fed with that, especially because as a designer, that's my full life.
Yeah.
Is designing characters and how to bring these people to life through the hair.
Yeah.
So that's me constantly. Like I'm always preparing and feeding my brain to stay prepared.
Yeah.
Like I never did a full sci-fi film, but I have so many sci-fi references.
Right.
I even have references from Africa back in the day that I want to use in a
For
futuristic
sci-fi.
film.
Yes.
When I see like African king's hair, like to me, there's a lot of hair that goes back hundreds of years in Africa that could be incorporated into a futuristic vibe. Yeah, so I'm always planning for that. You gotta stay ready. You don't have
Stay
to get
ready. Exactly. So now this is one of the things that always stands out for me with you is your love affair with Brazil. So, and I'm always envious and like I want to travel.
Baby.
Yes.
All is welcome. Now, when you come, I might be busy. Well,
But
now,
talk to me about why Brazil is so important to you.
I mean, it
because
makes
you're
sense, right? I'm
always
from
there.
New Orleans. It's
Yes.
like Brazil and New Orleans is almost identical in culture.
Yeah,
Even
right.
food.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. See, I don't know that.
Oh,
and I'm sure a
that
lot of
makes
people
sense.
don't know that.
Oh, well, Brazil is like a big New Orleans, the cousin of a New Orleans. So to me, I felt at home instantly. I mean, my love of New Orleans is immense. So
Right.
I love New York, but like I'm always going to put New Orleans first. Brazil is the only other place I've been in the world that to me was like almost the same culture. So I felt comfortable instantly. But it's so elevated because New Orleans is more chill compared to Brazil. Like in
Yeah.
Brazil has beaches, it's gorgeous, it has the ecosystems. It's
Yeah.
like the people are super friendly. The
Yeah.
food is amazing. It's like name it. It's like they have everything in one country.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's poverty and all that, but I mean, hey, America ain't really the poster child for perfection.
No,
when
at
it
all.
comes to economy either. We like to think we are. But
Yeah.
So to me, it's like apples and oranges. So, but for me, Brazil encompasses everything that I love, and culturally, it's just the most colorful culture to me.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. And like, do they have carnival and all
Yeah,
of that? Like,
the
so
same as
yeah,
New Orleans,
so everything
but
is
bigger.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and my fiance is Brazilian.
yes.
I knew I would marry a Brazilian. Though. I
Like,
kind of knew.
honey, I knew you would marry a Brazilian too.
Well, I want to invite you. Where you going to get married? Brazil or here?
Here.
Okay.
Because we're doing the visa thing.
Okay.
So we have to get married here.
Yeah. And so, like, tell me what being a world traveler has done for you as an individual and as a creative.
I think it's more as an individual, primary as individual. It just made me grow more as
Yeah.
a person, to become more worldly. I've learned 2 languages after the age of 40, which apparently is a thing. I didn't know. But
really?
they say it's really hard for you to learn languages when you're older. Yeah, so I started Spanish here because New York to me was I like to acclimate and be included in shit. So to
Right.
me, it's like, I'm not going to be in a room if half the room speaking Spanish and I can't keep up.
Right.
I gotta go learn Spanish.
Yeah.
If I'm around a bunch of Vietnamese people, trust me, I'm gonna learn Vietnamese.
Right.
So
Smart.
for me, New York, like just a taxi driver,
Yeah.
like would be speaking Spanish and would not speak English, and I was like, I can't really communicate with this dude. So
Right.
to me, it's like I learned Spanish first, and then going to Brazil, I learned Portuguese simply to survive and to get into the culture. So to me, that was a form of growing to me on just another level. Like people's like, oh, I want to go see churches, and they feel like that's having a cultural experience.
Right.
To me, having a cultural experience internationally is sitting down talking to locals and learning about their personal life and things like that, and culturally. So for me, that's what world travel to me and travel to makes me feel like. I feel like everybody should do it. I mean,
I know.
people have been doing it since the beginning of time. That's why we're all here. Some of us against our will, but still.
But yeah, being world travelers. But I definitely feel like you brought that to me when we did Girls Trip too, because it was the approach that you took with having me experience New Orleans. It was very much get into the local vibe. Like that's what they do. food. Now this is what
Yeah.
we do. Like here's this spot. We're gonna go over here at 4 a.m. They make the best this type of food. I forget what was the place. It was honey.
Melba's.
Every night.
That's the same place, Melba's?
Melba's.
Is it the same Melba's?
Melba's.
No.
No, it's a different Melba's.
No. It was
It's
off
a
the
24-hour
chain.
spot, and it's like
Off the
24-hour
chain.
soul food?
24-hour everything.
Just everything.
They got
everything.
a huge menu. They sell daiquiris and all kinds of shit.
Like
and
alcohol,
it be lit late at
food,
night. So
and I
many
mean a
people.
line at 4 a.m.
Because
a
everybody
line.
out from the clubs and partying will
Yeah.
be there. Everybody be drunk. It
Yeah.
be lit.
And so you just meeting all the local people,
Uh-huh.
and just, I think, had I not experienced it with you, just vibing in the local, I probably would have been a little hesitant to just talk to random people in the line at Melba's. But because I was already like engulfed into the local vibe of New Orleans, I was to people, talking to
that's what
people,
you
and
do.
it was a great experience. So,
And that's very New Orleans. Like, people will
Yeah.
never shun you for talking to them.
yes.
Everybody,
I love
they
that.
talk too much sometimes. I'll be like, child, when I go home to visit, I'm a New Yorker. I'll be like, what? Fuck. Asking me all these questions. I just want my shit so I can go.
Yes. So, and now, like, I'm going to also just talk a little bit about your love affair with glasses and your frames and all your different, and how you are a connoisseur of it. Like, you
I love
really
the frame.
take it serious. Yeah.
Well, I take it more seriously because of the monopoly. Like,
Yes.
I don't like the fact that the eyewear industry is monopolized by this one or two giants
Yeah.
that like force people to sell their shit, and it's all made in China.
Yeah.
I like authenticity. I don't like manufactured stuff, so I try to get as real as possible. So I love my frames to be handmade. For real, like it has to be. Like, I would refuse to wear anything that's like has made in China written on it.
Yeah.
I'm just not having it.
Okay, so you have your personal.
Yeah. Well, I make, there are designers that are small boutique,
Yeah.
like eyewear companies, but they still make everything in house. Like Cazal is one of them, and they make everything in house and will handmade everything. So to me, I like that story behind my eyewear. If I have to wear something on my mug, it need to be serious, because basically this is getting in the way of my face, and I
Yeah.
love my face. I love me, so I don't want nothing stopping the shit.
Yeah.
So for me, if I'm gonna put something dead in my eyes, like, child, it needs to be fierce. It's not gonna be a casual decision.
No.
I was like, wait, you want to obstruct my mug? Because the bitch can't see. It's like, it better be cute.
Yes.
Sure. So that's how I got into it. And
No, I
I found out
know.
about the
And
monopoly,
you
and I was like,
are-
oh, okay.
And nobody has your frames.
I
Nobody.
search high and low.
Nobody. Like, they are not the third person. Oh, he got the same frame.
No.
Brian has his own.
I like
which I love.
I like designers that are not popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of my designers is Cooper Rowan, and lots of people do use it. Oprah uses them, and Samuel Jackson too. So they have celebrity clientele,
Right.
but they're the type of eyewear, what is it, eyewear company,
Right.
that will make one pair or two per thing and sell out, and then never come
And then
back.
it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't market to like the whole world like that. Like, you have to buy it straight from Germany or whatever,
Yeah.
and it might be two.
Wow. Good to
So,
know.
yeah.
Well, don't break them, because you ain't gonna
won't
get
get
them. Like, I
Won't
just
get 'em
broke
back.
my favorite black ones, and we reached out, and they were like, "That's discontinued.
Sorry.
We don't have it."
Oh,
anymore." We
Lord,
moved
that's when
on.
it hurts.
Oh, no.
That's when it hurts.
But that's like couture shit, so
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
But at the same time, in that instance, it sucks because
Yeah.
you can't get parts to it.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about Lovecraft Country, which so many people love that show.
That was so great show.
So
It was so
many
fun.
people.
It was amazing.
When I read that script, because they did send me that script to like come on to that show this
you would have
season.
loved.
And when I was reading it, I was like, my brain was like, wow, like this is all over the place.
You didn't find
And
it hard to understand, because I didn't get it.
I did not get it. And I was
Okay.
like, I don't think that I had two options, and it was Ava with When They See Us.
Okay.
And after reading the script, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna rock with Ava because I felt more connected to that story just because it was New York and Lovecraft just felt like I don't even know what they're talking about. But
I was
once
after
it
the
all
whole thing.
came together,
Yeah.
wow, like this show.
That was the genius of Misha. You know, Misha Green is the writer. And literally, I would have to go talk to her and be like, okay, help me understand this. Like, through the whole series, I couldn't all the way understand stuff and how it was going to be pieced together. So I had, design-wise, I had to, like, just narrow it down to one thing.
Yeah.
And just make sure continuity was together. But designing that type of show with all those layers and porting through stuff, like, you have to really know how to keep it together and how to keep stuff like cohesive because and on a script on paper you can't envision these things.
Oh, I tell you.
But it was super challenges. But my technique was I just bought a shit ton of wigs.
Yeah.
It was like I got a wig for every occasion.
Preparation, yeah.
So and the budget was through the roof, so I could do that. And literally, I would just go if I had $1,500 on the card, I would go buy $1,500 worth of wigs.
Yeah.
Bring it back, just put them in the stock, and when the card replenished, I would go buy $1,500 more. I would just get a wig that could be turned into everything, something to keep a balance. I would do curly, from blonde to black, like straight, wavy, like things that could be flipped into things. According to what period and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you got lots of attention from that show. Like, as a designer, you got a lot.
Especially the Afro. The Afro was the hit. Afrofuturism.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And, like, then to go to Whitney Houston, now your research and preparation for that was...
Okay, Whitney was a whole nother beast because... that film, which is I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Yes. Which was streaming number one, by the way, for a good minute. Yes, on Netflix.
Well, because Whitney Houston wore so many hairstyles, when you have a script and you know it's 1994, let's say.
Yeah.
But which hair in 1994? This is a bio, so this is about a real person.
Yeah.
Whitney has... in 1994 might have had 30 hairstyles.
Right.
So for me, not only did I have to recreate Whitney's hair styles, I had to take it upon myself to have creative license to tell the story with her hair throughout the film from beginning to end. So I made sure each hairstyle was somewhat of an iconic look and was still appropriate for that scene in that year, and also would correspond well coming from the previous hairstyle and going to the next. So I strategically made it to where if it was a lookbook, you know, you're starting with her 18-year-old hair, and it's like if you're just looking at her hairstyles, it's almost you can see the elevation of her life or through the aging and stuff with her hair.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to do with that film, which is not really normal.
No, and that's brave. I mean, that is a risk.
I took creative license.
That's a risk.
I didn't ask for approval. I was just like, well, this is the story I'm trying to tell. This will work with that. Boom, boom, boom. When to add this one and things like that.
So no approval through the family or production?
No, I had 100% creative license with that. With me. Like,
that's awesome.
They didn't. I think they might have had a special request.
Who?
The director, Casey.
Okay.
I feel, she had the request for Robin to flip her hair around because Robin started off with the wet set and ended up with the natural.
Right.
But they wanted Robin, Nafisa, who played Robin, to have the natural hair for the primary of the film.
Right.
Because a lot of the scenes with them was early when Robin had the wet set hairstyle.
Right.
So that was against the rules, but the director had creative license about that. So reluctantly, we were all like, but it won't match. And we were like having fits behind the scenes, but we had to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was fun that nobody told me what to do.
Yeah, no, I mean,
'Cause then you can do your
that's
best
brave.
work.
And that's brave. Because a lot of people don't have that confidence to go, you know what, I'm going to take this creative license. I'm going to make the decisions. I know what's going to work best for, the visual of this storytelling as it
Right.
pertains to hair. So a lot of people don't have that confidence to just step out there like that. So bravo to that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I feel like it's important. It's who I am.
Yeah. Amen.
So that's why I wanted to be a designer. I would
Yeah.
rather lead because I feel like I have a story to tell with
Yeah.
hair. I have a unique approach to it, a unique look and
Yes.
style to my signature way of styling to if you saw my films, all of my films, you would see a similarity in my style of styling throughout my films.
Yeah, you have
And it's almost like the
definitely a
films were
stamp.
made just for me because
Yeah.
my techniques and styles worked best with that particular project.
Agreed. You
Yeah.
definitely can see your signature.
Keeping it classy
Yeah.
with a little street,
A little-
edge.
yeah, it's a
you
little-
know.
A little messy in the back.
A little style.
little
But even if I go with
editorial.
straight hood stuff, it's gonna
Yes,
be cute hood.
yes.
Like, but I know how to. We know how to make busted. Like if you playing a crackhead,
Yes.
I know how to give a dope crackhead.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause I know what crackheads look like.
Right.
So I can give you crackhead.
Familiar.
I can make a Hollywood starlet look like the last crackhead. And that's harder than making people look beautiful.
Yeah.
Child, trying to make somebody with pretty skin
It's
and
so
pretty hair
true.
look
Yeah.
a mess.
It's true.
That's
it's
fun.
True. It is. It is. Take them right out of that.
Oh my God, when we were doing Underground with Journey, part of when she was in a fight scene and she had, she was a slave and she had to like pull the braids and her hair was kind of pulled back all the time, but it was a scene that she was getting in a fight. The dude was trying to like molest her or whatever. So we was in the trailer, and the best way to do it is you start it off put together.
Right.
So how do we make this hair messy when I have 1,000 pins in it
Right.
just for the look? But now it has to somewhat come apart, but it can't come apart all the way because it's fake and it'll be on the floor. So me and Journey start fighting in the trailer. I have it on
Like,
film too. It's
yes.
like this. We're gonna do this. This is how you create I'm struggling for my life look. And we'd be like, go. And we were just like, ah! And I was pulling her hair and all these things. And whatever it ended up, that's what went to camera.
Because that's organic.
Because
Yeah.
if you would have did it a little, it would
Yeah.
look contrived.
Yeah.
I was snatching her hair,
Yeah.
and it was all over the place. It was so funny.
We have to go back and look at that now. So, I'm going to wrap it up with touching on our opportunity with becoming producers on Power and the universe of Power, and what that means for you. I know what it means for me, but getting that opportunity and having someone like Courtney see that in us. So just talk to me about that.
Well, I feel like for us to be given the opportunity by Courtney to become producers in this creative sense is pretty groundbreaking.
For sure.
I mean, everybody I know in the hair world, it was completely confused.
Yeah,
like they
gagging.
were like, "How the fuck you do that?" Like I mean, major players who've
Yeah.
been doing this for years.
Yes.
They're not multi-hyphenated, like
Yes.
with the producer credit. So they're
Yeah.
like, well, how the hell? And I think Ryan Murphy's camp,
Yeah.
I feel like they have people in place, but I don't know if they give producer credit.
Right.
So,
And I think maybe just the costume designer, maybe. I'm not sure.
yeah, I haven't really fully checked that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty groundbreaking. I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
I saw this was part of my vision.
Yeah.
But I was using the title creative director.
Yeah.
I knew that what I can bring to any production is the creative vision. I don't physically have to be there. I can still design it. I don't physically have to style the hair.
Right.
So I knew that part of my growing,
Yeah.
I would probably end up in a creative form somehow
Yeah.
of film and movies. I mean, film and television.
As your elevation.
So yeah, I saw it kind of coming. I knew that's what I
Yeah.
would want to do. That would be my next step.
Yeah.
However, it was going to happen. I
Right.
didn't know it was going to be with Courtney and
Yeah.
the Power
Yeah,
Universe.
because you had left.
'Cause I left.
I
Yeah,
remember.
you had
I just
parted.
I just want to do something a little more. I remember that.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it
know
was
I
a-
have to
yeah.
leave. I have to keep, like, you have to
Yeah.
get the numbers. Like, to make it to the level that I'm trying to make it, you have to have the numbers. You can't
Right.
just have one show on your resume.
Right.
You have to have a very well-rounded resume. People at the time were saying, oh, TV people do TV only and
Right.
film people
Right.
do. I do it all.
Yes.
I was like, don't put me
Amen.
in a box.
Don't
How
put
about
me in a
Broadway?
box.
Any Broadway
I've never
stuff?
done Broadway.
Do you want to do Broadway?
No, because to me, Broadway is a thing.
Right.
I'm filming TV, like music videos. I did that for a minute.
yeah.
It ain't my thing.
No.
Fashion,
Yeah.
not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Even
fashion
designing
No, because
Broadway?
there's I like creating characters.
Okay.
Broadway to me is a thing, but I'm not into the whole live stage. I don't like the Broadway rooms in the back. Like
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
Okay.
Right.
I like filming locations, trucks and
Yeah.
woods
Yeah.
and outdoors and things, different
Right.
locations. Broadway is like showing up to a job every day and work in a basement.
Right.
That's not me. I'm not doing that.
But as the designer, though, you would
As a-
set
No,
it and
because
leave.
No,
Designer.
No.
Not there every day.
no.
Not
It's
walking
just
through
not
Times
me.
Square. You don't have to walk
It's
through
just
Times
not me. I'm a film child. Like
Yes.
I'm film industry. The Broadway kids are very like Broadway kids. You know,
Yes,
I'm
they
a
are.
film child.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a little rough, like
Yeah.
I'm a little thugged down, like the film. I like hanging out with the grips with the boys, like
Yeah.
talking shit
Yeah.
on set. Like I'm just my whole vibe is film industry. It's
Yeah,
where I
for
belong.
sure. I mean, I definitely, before Power, I was all film. Like, I really didn't do TV. Every now and again,
Right.
I'd do like a little first season of something.
Right.
But I was a film. And I'm still film. You know, I go back and forth. Like, but these past couple of years, Power has like just kind of
Right.
taken over.
And this is
But-
a great opportunity.
Yeah,
for
no
a producer.
question. Yeah,
So,
no question. I mean, it's
For me, I love it.
yeah, it's 100%. So anyway, we thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
being
welcome.
here.
It's a killer
This
Kiki.
yes.
What? You gonna ask me a
I'm
question?
going to ask you a question.
Ask me a question.
Backpack, crossbody. or tote.
Crossbody.
Crossbody. That's
A
the
little
kind of
cash, versatile. Because I can switch it up.
Okay.
Backpack is functional. It's not fashion for me.
Yeah.
A tote, I like my hands free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
Badie
right.
Yeah.
in the house for the gloss.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.